Turning now to a city in crisis. 4 people shot in Baltimore City today. 2 of those victims have died. 2 of those shootings happened along the same stretch of Reisterstown Road. A man was hurt in a shooting at a Home Depot parking lot around 3 this afternoon. And just before 7 tonight, 2 people were shot at a gas station. 1 of them died. That gas station is inside the Belvedere Safe Streets zone. A similar double shooting that happened in that same neighborhood over the weekend, right in front of the Safe Streets office. 1 person died in that shooting as well. Now, the violence today comes as former Police Commissioner Micheal Harrison wrote an op-ed in the Baltimore Sun touting the success of the city's crime fight while he was in office. The commissioner pointing to a reduction in murders and shootings compared to this time last year. But some experts say it's too early to celebrate that success.
I don't think much progress has been made on the crime fighting front. We're just 6 months into the year, and we're in the year following a record high year. So you are going to see fluctuation. You are going to see pullbacks.
We are taking a closer look at what's happening on some Baltimore streets right now. Fox 45's Jeff Abel will join us live with a look at youth curfew enforcement now that the mayor is making changes 1 month after it started. Our live team coverage begins, though, with Vincent Hill and a snapshot of crime and its impacts in Baltimore City.
Yeah, Maxine, Mary, depending on where you get your groceries, you may have to come up with a different solution, because one of the biggest grocers says they're thinking about closing their doors in Baltimore because of crime.
This was the most opportune time for me to pass the torch.
Former Police Commissioner Micheal Harrison says he sought to build a department that would serve as a model for the nation and, more importantly, for the people of Baltimore.
To say that we've just come a long way would be an understatement.
Touting his success at reducing violent crime by 16%. But not everyone is on board with that assessment.
We've clearly lost control of the criminal system in Baltimore City,
including U.S. Senate hopeful David Trone, the Democratic congressman, pointing to the number of residents and businesses leaving the city.
They're going to have to bring back safety to folks that live downtown, to rebuild the downtown area, or folks aren't going to go back.
Today, Giant Foods telling Fox 45 they're considering closing locations in and around Baltimore and D.C. because of theft and violence. Earlier this month, a shooting at this East Baltimore Giant on Sinclair Lane not sitting well with customers.
Yeah, we should fear for our safety. Everybody should. Nobody want to get killed. Crime is everywhere.
As Harrison makes his exit, carjackings sit at over 200 for the year and robberies over 1,400.
And I wish somebody would have asked him why he's leaving if it is such a better place.
Law enforcement analyst Melissa Pinkleton raising questions about the 16% reduction in violent crime.
You should ask the victims of those robberies and carjackings. Just because a shot doesn't come out of the gun doesn't mean a gun pointed in your face is not violent and one of the most scary things that has ever happened in your life.
Pinkleton says Harrison's legacy is more about what he makes it than the reality of crimes across the city.
He can pick and choose and cherry pick kind of what his successes and failures were. People forget that the first half of 2022 was the most violent in Baltimore's history.
Meanwhile, Giant hasn't made that decision official to close stores here in Baltimore, but they say they're heavily weighing that option. For now, we're live in Baltimore. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Vince, thank you. In his op-ed, former Commissioner Harrison speaking to the new technology and improved working conditions with new facilities for officers. One thing Harrison wasn't able to fix, though, is the officer shortage. Acting Commissioner Richard Worley addressing that during a public safety hearing last week.
We're not getting 100 officers anytime soon. I think the next class has only got 20 or 22 in it. So we've got to do with what we have and ask our federal partners. But a lot of the other things that have been done, like the curfew initiative, the squeegee initiatives, the work with the homeless, the padlock initiative.
Well, you heard the acting commissioner mention the curfew initiative. Now, a little more than a month after that program was put in place, the city is making changes. Jeff Abel joins us live now with a closer look at those changes and the impact the curfew is having on the city. Jeff?
You know, within the first month of launching this program, a curfew van had been damaged, a curfew center had been closed, and now the curfew strategy, which is costing $1 million, is under the microscope. On Pratt Street, it's happy hour.
Here they come.
But not everyone is happy.
They show up when there is people. As simple as that.
Restaurant owner Tony Asadi says the same teens who roar through the city at this hour are not shy about disrupting his business at most any hour, whether a curfew is in place or not.
In a perfect world, yeah, everybody's going to go home, and we are not going to have any problem. But this is Baltimore.
When the city launched its curfew engagement strategy 5 weeks ago, it sent teams of volunteers into downtown communities. Their mission? To encourage curfew violators to go home or agree to be transported to one of the city's 2 new curfew centers. But the effort was off to a rocky start. Within days, the window on a curfew van had been shattered. Volunteers were forced to retreat. And last weekend, the city closed this community center to curfew violators when no teens had consented to go there. The C.C. Jackson Community Center in Park Heights is now the only center the city is using as a curfew center. In announcing the move, the mayor wrote that it will help consolidate resources, prioritize ground-level outreach. These adjustments are coming out of a detailed assessment about what was working and where improvements could be made.
If there is no law, if there is curfew, you need law and order to pursue that, to enforce that. But you don't see it.
According to the mayor's office, youth-related homicides and non-fatal shootings committed on the weekends are down compared to this time last year. But Tony Asadi isn't convinced the curfew, which relies on teenagers' consent, has anything to do with it.
They don't want to be controlled. If they could have been controlled, they would be home with their mother, with their father.
Well, as part of its efforts to keep kids off the streets, the city does plan to keep 10 of its community centers open until 11 o'clock on Friday nights. We are live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. Well, the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement has played a big role in the curfew plan. Today, the mayor officially announced an interim director for that office, with the current director, Shante Jackson, stepping down on Friday. You can find more on the interim director, Stephanie Mavronis, on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We want to hear from you. Do you think the youth curfew plan is working? So far, 100% of you who voted say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. I'm Maxine Stryker. Thanks for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, take a moment to subscribe to our channel.